All right, we're back. You know what I mean? Godcast, Lord Jamar, Digga. So, in this past week in Austin, Texas, there was a series of terrorist bombings. Mm-hmm. Okay, and let's call them what the fuck they are.
Terrorist bombings.
By a white terrorist. Mm-hmm. A young man by the name of Mark Anthony Conditt supposedly is responsible for a series of bombings, at least two of which I know killed some black people. It almost seemed like this was an attack strictly on black people at first, but then some of the later bombings, apparently, a couple of white people were injured. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, and time again, we're sitting here calling this young white terrorist a terrorist. We calling him what he is. Okay? He even went as far as to detonate a suicide bomb. He's a suicide bomber.
It doesn't get any more terrorist than that.
He committed suicide by detonating a bomb and injured the police in the process. So how the fuck are you not gonna call this nigga a motherfucking suicide bomber? If he were Muslim, if he were black, if he
was Muslim, could you imagine?
Korean, if he were anything other than white, this man would have been labeled a motherfucking terrorist of what he is. But what are they saying about this man?
They love pushing the troubled narrative when it comes to white
quote
terrorists.
Unquote. This motherfucker, he gave a confession on his phone. They found a confession on his phone. Mm-hmm. They talking about him, quote, what they found on the phone, they're saying, it is the outcry of a very challenged young man talking about challenges in his life that led him to this point.
Like, niggas ain't got challenges. Like, how?
Like motherfuckers in the desert who's getting bombed by fucking, drones and shit like that ain't got challenges. Where their babies or some shit, or their grandpa or somebody just got drone strike by the U.S. government. Like, you think... And first of all...
Like, getting killed by a cop holding a cell phone ain't a damn challenge. Like, bro.
Terrorism, I'm not going to sit here and advocate for terrorism because I don't advocate for, violence is not the answer. You know what I mean? If we truly use our power as God, then the mind is all we need. Okay? But we have to truly access our power as that. We're not there yet. But anyway, but to have, to try to coddle this motherfucker and act like, you're trying to find some understanding.
Well, I'll tell you why they'll never label a white person as a terrorist. For one, you got to think of you got to take the word terrorist into context. Like, when they first started, not even first started, but when they're pushing it, there's always an agenda against that particular group of people.
Absolutely.
So they had to, terrorists to justify going into Iraq and Afghanistan, because the real agenda was going to get their oil. So in order to make it make sense to invade these countries, they had to convince, the media, the news, they have to convince us as Americans that we are not safe from these people. They're terrorists.
Right, so we're going to have a war on terror.
Right. If you start labeling white people terrorists, like, how how do you wage war on your own?
On yourself.
Right. So they're never going to be called terrorists.
I mean, school shootings, terrorism. That's terrorism at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, why can't we see the hypocrisy in all of this? Like, I mean, I guess some of us do, but it's like,
we see it.
What the fuck, you know?
What are we
gonna do about it?
We definitely see it, and honestly, I believe white people see it too. They just either, they're just either naive or don't give a fuck. Like, it's one or the other, because there's no way that it's this blatant to everybody else but them.
Because I'm gonna always call it what it is, like, you know. And again, it's about.
I think the Muslims should protest. I think they need to get a protest, like, with the anti-terror signs. Like, yeah, who's the terrorist now?
Like, why the fuck are you not?
I think they need to do it.
You're not harassing him.
Yeah.
You harass me all the time, like I am a fucking terrorist.
Yeah.
I am not terrorist.
I wouldn't be mad at him. I might support. I might show up to the rally with him.
It's just like, see, this is what I was talking about earlier, though, as far as like framing some shit.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you know, there's an agenda behind everything. So they have an agenda with themselves as far as framing themselves in the best light as possible.
Right.
You see, like, white people have framed themselves as God, basically. You see what I'm saying? They framed themselves as God. A false God, but God nonetheless. And
it goes back to what you were saying about how, you know, when there's a school shooting, like, you won't or things like that, you know, you'll just see devastated victims. Like, you'll never really see like the carnage and the horror with it. It's like the way we see it when when black people are getting killed by cops
and it just will never be treated the same. Like,
never.
Look how many school shootings have been conducted in white schools. Why are there no metal detectors in white people's schools? I'll tell you why, because they don't want to make their children feel like criminals. Whereas they don't mind making our children feel like criminals. Like, if you look at some of the schools in the city, them shits is set up like jails. Like, they look like jail. Like, I mean, the construction of it, the way the walls and the halls and the bathroom, it's like jail. Now, you go up in some of these fucking fancy-ass white schools, and you be like, wow.
I went to boarding school. I went to boarding school, so I'm already
somebody's
knowing.
asked me to ask you about that, too.
About boarding school?
We're going to have to do a whole
That's because I was smart. That was because I got a scholarship for being a straight A student.
Somebody said, ask Rah Digga about when she went to boarding school. Ask about your Outsiders days.
Okay.
And they want to know about... baby daddy. And they want to know about a lot of Rah Digga stuff. See, we did a Rah Digga interview when
you didn't air that segment.
You know, I put that on the Patreon.
Okay.
And like, but now that we in a new place, we might just have to do
a whole new pretend it's my first day here. Well, give an interview. I'll give it.
You don't have to pretend it's the first day. We just make them privy to certain shit.
Actually, you know what would be cool? We should do that with each other. Like, I ask you a question, you ask me a question. That'd be cute. That's cute. That'd be cute.
I bet there's a lot we don't know about each other.
Right.
But yeah, back to what we're saying. You know, it's just about trying to frame yourself in the best light and not giving a fuck about nobody else, basically. Like you don't mind framing anybody else's child as a monster. I mean, these are the terms that come out, like that monster. And, you know, we've never had no mass school shooting in black neighborhoods, but yet we got all kind of metal detectors in multiple schools and this shit has been going on for years.
Right.
And we're subject to, you know, searches and
search and seizure.
Yeah, and acting like criminals and all this type of shit. Yet they are killing, their children are killing each other. And they still won't make them suffer that type of indignity when it comes to going to school. Why? Because school is a place where a child should be learning and not have to worry about, feeling like a prisoner. That's the type of shit they'll say for their own kids.
Right.
But when it comes to us, the children of the savages in their mind, who gives a fuck about their feelings or anything like that?
I saw a Rhapsody tweet too that because this was also the week of South by Southwest, so a lot of a lot of those shows were getting postponed, canceled, just for safety, and it's unfortunate. I don't know if I don't like was he targeting black people? It almost seems that way,
this
right?
is all remains to be seen.
Yeah, they don't.
They're saying he might have had problem with immigrants and this and that and blah 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 blah. My thing is, I'm always a little suspicious when things like this though are like tied up in a nice little bow like this. You understand? Like, you're looking for this bomber motherfucker. All of a sudden, you came across some footage of him at the FedEx place with a wig on, and that led you to da-da-da-da-da. And now he blew himself up, and now it's just all over. You see what I'm saying? Like he's one guy. You don't know if he was connected to anything. You're saying there was nothing on his cell phone that, with him admitting, but I didn't actually watch the footage.
Right.
So now again,
We don't know.
I gotta go by what the fuck you're telling me is on the fucking cell phone, as if I fucking trust your ass.
I just saw the word trouble. As soon as I saw the word trouble, I just turned we not doing this. We not giving him the troubled label.
This motherfucker built multiple bombs, but multiple types of bombs.
Multiple bombs, multiple types of bombs, special batteries, and then he blew himself up. Like, it doesn't get any more
Which
textbook
makes you
terrorist
a
than that.
suicide
Right.
bomber. Like, say that. Just say that. I mean, I'd love to see at least one of these white outlets have the balls to just come out and be like, oh, yeah, the suicide bomber, Mark Anthony Conditt. You see?
And rather than say that now, but now they're actually publishing stories saying, is it, why is he being caught? Like, now they're asking the question, or like that's the subplot now, rather than just say suicide bomber such and such. Now it's like, so, there's been speculation, or there's been backlash of him not being labeled as terrorist. Was he an actual terrorist? Like, that's the that's the news story now.
And they'll actually try to get into his mind frame.
They're trying to. I hate when they try to humanize these people. Like, dog, how you can find a parking ticket on a black kid that the cops just killed, or find something that he did when he was 12 years old, but y'all going out of your way to make these people seem like they weren't as bad as the crime they committed. Like, fuck out of here. I'm over it. My tolerance is low for this type stuff, yo.
Well, on to a little more fuckery. What we got, like 10 minutes right now? What we got?
Like 6.
Okay. Real quick, I just want to bring this up because this is more fuckery out here. Your boy Trump talking about drug dealers should get the death penalty as a response to the so-called opioid crisis. What the fuck is this all about?
First they want to arm the teach. First they want the teachers to kill the little black boys because they fearful for their life. I'm just, I'm being extra, but I mean, seriously though, between that and like, really.
But if we talking about drug dealers, who are we talking about? And when we talk about opioids, the real dealers of the opioids would be the pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
Are we gonna kill them?
Right.
Are they gonna get the death penalty? I don't think that's who you're talking about. I think you're talking about the average street motherfucker, right?
Right.
Now, when you also say opioids, we're talking about, you know, Oxycontin
Right.
and Percocets
Right.
and you know, I gotta be honest, I don't know a lot of black dudes that's selling that type of shit.
Neither do I.
What's
I know.
the shit that's really fucking them? The ice.
I know
the,
it's a little young craze.
meth.
Crystal meth.
Crystal meth. That's another, I guess, would fall under all of this. But what's so dangerous about this is he's acting like it's something to try to deter, his people or whatever from taking drugs. But what they're gonna end up doing is making it a blanket thing for all drugs.
Right.
You understand? So
You'll
somebody
give somebody a death penalty for selling weed.
Exactly. So now somebody that's moving weed or some crack or some shit that black people are usually known for fucking with, they'll blanket them into this type of shit to try to now justify rounding us up
Yet again.
and killing us. I mean, what do you think Hitler did with the Jews? Do you think it was all about justifying it? We got to justify murder in this fucking country. And it's fucking crazy. And this is just another example of, how laws are crafted to attack a certain demographic. You understand?
I concur.
And this is dressed as one thing. Yo, we live in a fucking
It's between our president and society just in general, like what I don't know what happened. Like, and it seems so drastic. It seems so drastic. It seemed like 1 minute it was, we were on the right path. We were on track to like having like healthcare for everyone, and I mean,
that was a nice bait and switch.
Yeah, it seemed like we were just moving in such a positive direction, and now we're like back in the fucking 60s. It's crazy.
On that, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Peace. It's the absence of all confusion. United we stand, divided we fall. 2 fingers together is the real peace sign, y'all. Brand Nubian peace gear. Hoodies. T-shirts. Snapbacks. Available at hoodg.com. Get yours today.